Okay, so as we see, out to lunch means behaving in or talking in a crazy, strange way. But if you picked answer C, dining culture, you're not out to lunch. You're smart, you're not crazy. Okay, so the article explains these utensils reflect differing traditional dining practices. Okay,
very interesting.
So the word utensil, this is something used for a particular task. We often use it to talk about eating utensils, so forks, knives, spoons, chopsticks, and so on. So the kind of chopsticks, the kind of utensils they use reflect the dining culture of that country.
Very, very interesting. If something reflects, well, this verb is spelled R-E-F-L-E-C-T, reflect. When we think of reflect, we often think of light bouncing off things. You can see yourself...
Or mirrors, yeah.
Yeah, you can see yourself in a mirror because the light bounces off it and the mirror shows what is looking at it, all right? It reflects the light goes in your eyes, you see yourself because that light is bouncing around, it's reflecting. But we can use it to talk about things that have nothing to do with light because it sort of matches or it carries those qualities. It transmits them or communicates them in some way. For example, a lot of art will reflect the feelings of the writer or the culture of the writer. If you go to a European church, you'll see lots of paintings of Jesus or the Virgin Mary. You won't see pictures of Kanye West or Elvis Presley because it doesn't reflect the religion of that church, all right? So it will sort of give you an idea, it will give you the message, it will give you the culture of something when it reflects it. For example, these paintings reflect the kind of art that was popular at that period. They give a good example. They communicate to you what that artistic style was all about. So here we are reflecting differing food cultures, differing food styles.
That's right. Now, differing is an adjective, and it's related to the verb differ, okay, or the other adjective different.
Different.
Okay, so things that are differing means they are different in some way. Like if two or more things are differing, they are not alike. You know, we could say Mike and I are differing in our accents, for example, because we speak in a different sounding way, or we could be differing in our tastes in music or clothes or what we like to eat. We're just not the same. Okay, the article goes on to kind of explain why the chopsticks are the way they are.
The differing food cultures.
Starting with Korean, it says, for example, Korean women frequently serve their families and husbands. And now we use frequently, it's an adverb, it's spelled F-R-E-Q-U-E-N-T-L-Y, another L-Y adverb, frequently, and it just means often, usually, typically, in the kind of normal way that things go. It happens
90%
a lot,
of the time.
yes. For example, my family frequently visits my grandparents on weekends. So here we've got Korean women frequently, most of the time, serving their families. Okay,
and often maybe if they're cooking on the barbecue, only one person was able to do that, so the mom might do that.
Grill, yep.
And these flat chopsticks, their chopsticks' flat shape prevents the dining tools or the utensils from rolling off a plate that's being passed. Of course, if they're flat, if they're square, they won't roll, and so that shape prevents them from rolling off and falling on the table or falling on the floor. When something is being prevented or prevents something, this is a verb, it's spelled P-R-E-V-E-N-T. Basically, it stops something from happening. It stops someone or something from doing something, all right? For example, a sign or a rule might prevent you from doing something that you shouldn't do that is dangerous, all right? We wear helmets or we wear seat belts in a car to prevent us from being badly hurt if there's some kind of accident. That helmet, that seatbelt will stop your body from being thrown around and being badly hurt. It will prevent you from getting badly injured. We also protect other things. For example, this phone case prevents my phone from getting damaged if I drop it. It's like a helmet or a seatbelt for my phone.
Notice we often use prevent something from and then the V-I-N-G form. So prevent something from getting damaged. Present something from rolling off.
That's right.
Okay, so make sure you remember that pattern. Okay, so that's Korean chopsticks. Next, the article says, in China, people take food from a number of plates on a table. Lots of plates and people just take the food that they want. So here we use the phrase a number of, okay? A number of means many or several, and we use it when there's no specific number or the number isn't important. We just want to communicate that there is more than one. So we might say, oh, there are a number of different animals in this part of the zoo. There is more than one, there are many, there are several. The exact number isn't important. A similar phrase is an amount of, okay? And the difference between saying an amount of or a number of is an amount of is used with uncountable nouns. So we would talk about an amount of water on the floor or in a glass, an amount of rice in a bowl, but if we're using number, it's got to be countable nouns, okay? A number of children in a room or a number of grains of rice, okay? So an amount of rice, a number of grains or bowls of rice. So there we go, all these plates on the table, some are far away, so these long chopsticks, the Chinese ones, can better reach the farthest dishes.
That's right, and if you're like me, when you're at the big dinner, all the best food is always over on the other side of the table. So these long chopsticks are very useful. It says these chopsticks' thick shape helps people hold food firmly without dropping it on its journey across the table. Ah, okay, yeah, thin chopsticks can make your hand a little sore, make it hard to lift up maybe a larger piece of food, but the thicker size makes it easier to grip. The long reach makes you able to get to that food and then bring it back to your plate
without dropping
or your bowl without dropping it in the middle of the soup or something like that. All right, so that's Korean chopsticks. We've covered Chinese chopsticks. And what about Japan? Those tapered chopsticks.
Well, it says in Japan, food is already served for each person before they begin to eat.
It's true, they don't share from the big plate so much.
Okay, and so we can say thus, chopstick length isn't an important factor. We don't need big long ones, we're not reaching across the table, we're just eating from our plate, so we don't need long ones. Now in that sentence we used the word thus to start it. You remember I talked about transitional phrases. Thus is a transitional phrase or a conjunction that kind of is used to show the result of something or a conclusion that we can draw from the sentence that came before. So it starts a new sentence referring to the first sentence and saying, that happened and thus here is the result. Similar sentences or phrases include therefore and as a result. Okay,
all right,
so more transitions.
Yes, and here we also had the word factor. It's a noun, it's spelled F-A-C-T-O-R. A factor is basically an important point, an important fact, an important thing to remember. All right, when you're planning something like a holiday, there are many different factors. Where you're going, how you're getting there, when you're going, how many people are going, is the weather going to be hot or cold, where will you stay? All of these different factors go into planning your holiday, and some of them, of course, will be more important than others, but they're all different things that you might want to think about and make decisions on depending on how important they actually are. For example, the company's recent success is down to several factors, such as good advertising and improved production methods. Two important factors in the success of a company.
So a factor is something that can have an effect on something else. It's like an important thing that influences the outcome.
That's right. You can't really afford to ignore it.
So back to Japanese chopsticks. Next we see they also, so Japanese people, they also eat a lot of fish.
Oh, they like their fish.
Yep, and the chopsticks tapered shape, their chopsticks tapered shape helps people pick out the animal's small bones.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so they've got all these fish with small bones, so these tapered, thin-ended chopsticks, you can pick them out a lot easier.
It's true.
So that's another reason for it.
In Western-style eating, we would use the points of the fork.
Yeah, or the fish knife thing.
Or the fish knife, right? Or the points of a fork, which are also quite tapered, quite narrow, and it's easy to get between the little bones, get those out while leaving the meat there.
So there we go. That's why we have all these different kinds of chopsticks. Brings us to the end of the fun fact, and it's now time for our For You Chat question.